Try it.
No.
Good.
Rockies.
Okay, so they can hear us?
We can be heard now? Perfect. Okay, we can finally get started. So we have our financial services certificate today, our last certificate of the semester. So we're gonna go over the certificate, go over some updates and upcoming events, which I kind of went over already. But we could kind of skip over those real quick. And then there's also a few other things that I didn't mention that we will be going over. But just to kind of speed things up now since we're running behind, I'm going to turn over to our panel moderators. We have Dan Herlash and Mark Gamak.
Thank you. Thank you, Gracie. So I'm Dan Herlash, lecturer for the marketing department here, and one of the advisors for the sales corps for AMA, and also for the Institute for Sales Excellence. And Mark, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Gamak. I know a number of you, but not all of you, and I'm really excited you're here. Just a little bit about me. I'm a lecturer here in finance, teach personal finance, advanced retirement financial planning, business finance, to name a few. And I'm an alum. And so I graduated from here about 40 years ago, right? And was in industry, financial services industry with Northwestern Mutual, had a dream career. And when I retired, I wanted to teach. I wanted to come back. So I'm really excited to be here. I'm just curious, Dan, if I may, would you raise your hand if you're involved in a professional organization? FMA, AMA, okay. The reason why I bring that up, if you are, fantastic, get involved, stay involved. If you're not, please do that. Realize you're going through a transition in college from being a student to being a professional. And being part of your professional organization is game changing. When I joined FMA years ago, it changed my understanding of the opportunities that were in the marketplace, and it was just something that changed my life. And so I just encourage you to be involved, and thanks for being here.
And Mark, I'll also add in, I am also an alum. I graduated a little bit before Mark, about 5 years before that, so that's a long time ago. And I was actually here when we had our first organizational meeting for AMA.
Wow.
I was invited to come in. Some of you have heard this story before. The only reason I came is because we had a kegger after. Okay, back
that time you could drink a little.
At that time, you could drink at 18. So right out in back of the UC, we had a kegger. So anyway, but I stuck around and my last couple of years, and just to echo everything Mark said, and coming back too as an alum, I came back and wanted to pay back and give back. And I hope that someday you all appreciate what you're getting here at this great school and the opportunities that you have. Use it to your benefit, and down the road, pay back. Okay. So I'd like to get our panelists up here if we could. And we brought these wonderful people in, and I'll introduce them. We'll introduce them in a minute. But Mark, you wanted to explain a little bit about why we're doing this financial sales program.
Yeah, this is a partnership between the finance department and the marketing department. And I was so excited about it because a number of you, and we're going to get into some of the industries and the possibilities, but a number of you might be involved in the financial services industry, which is vast, or the insurance industry, vast. And what I found from my personal experience, I was a finance major. And when I got involved in industry and started working with clients and doing different things, what I learned is I had to learn really basics about marketing, right? And I know I at one point I was the head for Northwestern Mutual for their training function for the country. And we also brought in marketing majors but they needed to know more on the finance side, right? And so a little bit of massage on both sides, and we'll get into the details. So the financial sales service certificate is designed to help bridge that gap and fill that need and make you more prepared for a career you might get involved in.
And I too hired a lot of people. I worked for Federated Insurance, who's represented here today. One time I had Ben's position, hired a lot of people, and I hired quite a few finance majors. But again, there we had to teach them how to sell. So this is why we did this program. It's called the Financial Sales or Financial Marketing Sales Emphasis. You can be a finance major, you can be a marketing major. And what you do is those are the courses that you have to take. So you would take, and these can all apply towards your major, by the way, as well. So you take business finance, the essentials of financial planning. And by the way, business finance is a course required for everybody. Okay. Essentials of financial planning and the insurance course. Or the marketing course that you would have to take is Principles of Marketing, which everyone has to take. So you already got 2 of those knocked out. And then you take Principles of Selling and you take Entrepreneurial and Advanced Sales. With that, you get a financial sales emphasis, which is a great thing to have on your resume. Employers absolutely love it. And again, as I mentioned, all of these can also be part of your major. So it's not like you have to take extra classes to complete your finance or your marketing major. So financial service industries, and Mark, I'll let you talk about what finance and insurance in the industry is.
Yeah, so it's very broad. You may not have your arms completely around it, but we're talking about trillions of dollars in the economy, and numerous jobs, numerous roles. Insurance alone, Wisconsin just amazingly has incredible insurance companies, a number of them. Investment firms, again, helping people with financial planning. One of the courses I teach is Advanced Retirement Financial Planning, which is a CFP approved curriculum here, which is very unique. So somebody can go through that and sit for their CFP. The banking industry and fintech industry, the governor approved more dollars to prepare more people for banking and fintech, and we have some programs in those areas. So again, it's just unbelievable. And I know in the marketing meetings and the finance meetings, we have speakers come from these various areas so you can learn more about it.
Yeah, and actually I put up there $137,500,000 is the average pay for somebody in that industry. That includes everyone from the custodian and the clerical person all the way to the chairman of the board. So I know that a lot of you will tell you that your opportunity in sales in this area is definitely well into 6 figures. The other thing is this is an industry that is pretty stable. Okay. Unlike tech and some other things, it's not hazardous. It's not roller coaster. Overall, finance and insurance in the United States is pretty stable and it's blue chip. And and you can see by this, it performs just a little bit better than the GDP. So it has been continuing to grow at a slow but steady pace. So it's been a great career for me, and I know from you, Mark, as well.
Absolutely.
So a couple things is what are insurance services? And I'll let you talk about the investment side because you did more on that than I did. But insurance, if you look around you, just about everything you see is insured. Okay. All the houses, the telephone poles, you name it. They're either insured or self-insured by a large municipality, but just about everything in this world is insured. And there's personal insurance. So you know a little bit, you watch, you know, it's so easy a caveman to do it. You know, Geico can sell insurance. You see all these ads on TV, but it's so much deeper than that because an awful lot of it is specialty types of insurances that are used for specific reasons. I won't go through all of those. And then there's commercial insurance. And we have two great commercial insurance companies here too. They do a lot of commercial work. So you see semis running down the road, you go out to the industrial park, all of that is insured, not just for buildings and vehicles, but it's also insured against liability. And how often I heard today, this morning, on the radio, there was a company, and I can't remember which one it was, where people were getting E. coli and a couple of people died. All right. And I don't remember which company was selling the products. That's what insurance companies do. They protect those companies from going bankrupt, pay those claims, and keep all those people involved and still going.
On the investment side, what a lot of companies are set up. So I work with a lot of financial planning firms through my classes and different models. And Giselle's going to shed some light today. But think about this: when working with a client, who do you think? What would it feel like when you start working? Obviously, in a different position right now, but for somebody to sit down, listen to your dreams, your aspirations, your goals. You're going to be a subject matter expert in something, but oftentimes people don't know enough about finance, right? So what the career in this area in investments and insurance is kind of looking at things holistically. Do people have the right insurance in place? Really, insurance protects from poverty, losing what you've built up. And in addition to that, do they have the right investment mix that's optimized to help them get to their objectives? So there's planning tools to do that. I know we'll talk a little bit more about it, but it's an unbelievable opportunity and career choice for many.
So go ahead and introduce yourself. And we have Northwestern Mutual.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Gisela. I'm a full-time advisor with our Brookfield office in Northwestern Mutual. I'm going to mainly talk about Northwestern Mutual as a company, but then also our internship experience as well. So as Mark was saying, we really focus on a holistic approach. So we don't want to just talk about investments or just insurance with our clients, but how they integrate together, but then also everything in between that. So savings, budgeting, looking at their employer benefits, some estate and tax planning. And really how we do that is we just meet with that potential client and figure out what's most important to them. And then we build the financial plan around that. So it's very client focused, not company focused. So really whatever their personal, financial, or professional goals, we're just here to help them do that. And what the internship program looks like, so we are a top 10 internship program in the nation, and you're not someone else's intern, like you are getting hands-on experience in the financial service industry. So you're learning how to meet with clients, how to run a meeting, you're learning financial planning, different investment strategies, making sure someone has the proper insurance, and you're building your clientele while you're still in school. So personally, I was an intern for about 2.5 years, and then I went full time once I graduated. And that gave me a huge step up when I did graduate, since I already had almost 3 years experience. So I got my professional or my full-time professional career then up to a much faster start. And you're learning from other advisors in the nation that are we have some of the best advisors personally in our firm that have been recognized in Forbes and just other outside of Northwestern Mutual. So all of your meetings, you're with another advisor, learning how to talk to clients, how to do planning. You're not in it by yourself. You get to make your own schedule as well. So if you're in school, don't want to work as much, that's completely fine. And you're really just in charge of how you want to run your own business, make your own hours, stuff like that. Personally, my favorite part of being an advisor is just seeing the impact that we make on clients, but then also building that long-lasting relationship with them. So now that I've been here 5 years, I've seen clients go from being single to now being married, having families, buying their first homes. I've been invited to clients' weddings before. So it's really cool just getting to be with them through all of those experiences, but also knowing that they're going to be okay if something happened because of the planning that you put in place.
Giselle, I forgot to say, let's give her a warm welcome, and we'll do that for each. And I just want you to know, Northwestern Mutual is giving $2,000 worth of scholarships to finance majors that are attending here. So Dan and Andy, what is the amount? Is it 1,000 per? Done randomly, or how is it going to be done?
We really don't know yet.
We're working
We
it.
did 1,000.
What's that,
We
Andy?
may do,
To be determined. So, but there will be a place that they can register to be in the hunt for that. So let's thank Northwestern Mutual for that as well.
okay, and then we have Maddie, and I think you're next. Oh, Ben's next. Okay, fine. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so we have Ben Kornowski from Federated Insurance, and thank you for coming. Everybody, let's
Thank you.
Ben. By the way, Ben is a little nervous and was a little worried about his phone going off, and that's absolutely fine because he's an expecting father. So,
Hopefully we don't get the call right now. If we do, I'm sprinting toward the door.
yeah.
Thanks for the introduction, Dan. So as you mentioned, I'm the district marketing manager. I oversee basically half of the state of Wisconsin and took over the role after Dan laid a great foundation for us for many years. So thank you for setting us up well. So we're going to talk about Federated Insurance today. Who here has heard of Federated Insurance before I told them about it? Okay, not many people. That's kind of by design. It'll be, I'll talk about that here in a second. So Federated Insurance, we are not a new company. We've been around for 120 years, and we started in Owatonna, Minnesota, just south of the cities. We've grown now to a $3 billion revenue per year company, and we've got about 12 billion in assets. We're also in every county of the United States now. So we've grown quite a bit. We're a mutual company, which means we don't report to stockholders. We're not traded on the stock market. We are a company that's owned by the people that actually purchase policies from us, which allows us to and forces us to act only in accordance of what their best interest is. If we started doing things contrary to the interest of our clients, they own us. That's not a good recipe for success. The way that we're a little bit different. So Maddie's going to talk about the brokerage world of insurance in a second, and I think that's probably the majority of what you guys are familiar with. We're what is called a direct distribution system. So we actually work for the actual insurance company. What that means is there's no middleman involved. It is strictly our salespeople selling Federated Insurance. No one else can sell our product. We can't sell anyone else's product. It allows us to get very knowledgeable on the one policy that we do sell for each of the industries that we work in. Another major advantage for us is we do everything face to face. So each one of our sales representatives that's in each county of the United States, they're meeting with our business owners face to face. They're stopping in face to face to these businesses unannounced when they're making these cold calls. It allows for a really, really solid relationship to be developed through those interactions. So we work in 4 main industries. These kind of fall into those 4 buckets. We basically do auto dealerships, tractor dealerships, lumber dealerships, that type of dealership. We do construction, we do manufacturing, and then we work in petroleum. Pretty much any petroleum hauler you see going down the road carrying fuel is going to be insured with Federated across the United States. We do property and casualty insurance. So that would be buildings, liability, workers' compensation, umbrella, that type of thing. Life and disability insurance for not group plans, but larger policies for owners and their key employees. Risk management is a huge part of what we do. We typically are not going to be the cheapest insurance company, but what we will do is truly help businesses avoid the claims that could put them out of business, avoid hurting their employees, and avoid killing civilians. We do a lot to hold their hand through the process to make sure that they are the safest company possible. And then we help with estate planning. We don't do the actual planning. We're not attorneys, but we can we bridge the gap between our clients and the best attorneys in the state to be able to make sure that those businesses don't go out of business in the case that one of their owners passes away. It's kind of a win-win situation for us and the client. The way that we do our marketing. So kind of going back to why you guys haven't heard of us before, the majority of you haven't, is we don't do any advertising on billboards, Super Bowl commercials, anything like that. Everything that we do is well, rewind, every business that's in the industries that we work with, they join large trade associations for a multitude of benefits. It could be economic trends, it could be HR information, it could be networking, whatever it is. What we do is we advise the boards of those groups on safety and insurance. We advise them, we help them out, and then in turn, they tell all of the members that are business owners within those groups, you should only work with Federated Insurance. So when one of our reps stops into one of those industries, maybe a car dealership, we say we're with Federated Insurance. They're familiar with us. They know that we specialize in what they do. And they've been told over and over to work with us. So that's kind of how we do our marketing. As far as employment, we have an 8-month training program that's fully paid. And this is where you become an expert in our product. What that looks like is basically the first 3 months, you're going to be getting insurance 101, 201, 301, 401. It is basically like it's the equivalent of getting your master's in commercial insurance. You come out of that in insurance nerd and you need to learn how to actually sell it. So the next 3 months then is simply what you guys were doing today: sales competitions, mock proposals, mock calls, basically practicing everything that you would do in this position without actually having to go fall on your face in front of a client. It's very competitive. It's a lot of fun. And then you also learn a lot more of the detail of what you learned in the first 3 months. The final 2 months of that program, you're actually every other week going out into the field, servicing clients, potentially making sales if you've accepted your protected territory, and able to make commission at that point. We don't just throw you to the wolves after that training. I then, as the manager, ride with you a combined probably 150 days over the first 2 years to be able to make sure that you actually know what you're doing before we let you fully off the leash, I guess. You make all the money, I help you make the sales. It's a big investment. We spend about $250,000 per person that comes to the program. What that looks like is a pretty cool opportunity once you come out of it. These are the average income numbers. We don't need to look at that for too long, but it's a pretty cool deal. I absolutely love what I do. And if anyone has questions, interest at the end of this, please don't hesitate to come and talk to me about it.
And I'm going to add in, I know that all of these 3 partners have a fantastic income opportunity. I used to try to hire Northwestern Mutual people away, and that just never worked. Okay. So thank you, Ben. And by the way, I do want to ask you, because Gisela did, and we'll all talk about it. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey, how you got to where you're at Federated?
Yeah, so I grew up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Football was kind of the only thing that I really had much interested in. So went and played college football at St. Norbert, and throughout college did a business major because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but I knew that that could lead to some good careers. And I actually, focused on football, did an internship selling, and then it came to my last year and I knew I needed to get some more sales experience. So I actually did the Cottingham and Butler internship, which was a phenomenal experience, and I would recommend it all day. The growth that I experienced through that program I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't participate in their deal. And I know plenty of people maybe some people in this room have gone through that program as well. I'd recommend it to anyone. Came out of that, and Federated kind of started knocking on my door right after football was done, my 5th year. And it was just a better fit for myself. Us doing everything in person, I just can't sit down and sit still. So that was kind of the better route for me. Both great routes, but did the sales deal, the marketing representative role for 3 years up in Green Bay. Was able to grow that territory pretty well, and the opportunity then to teach and help other people get better at their position came about, and took this position about 3 years ago now, which is crazy to think about how time flies.
Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause again. And Maddie, would you take us through Cottingham Butler, some of the background information, and then I'll ask you a question as well about your career path, okay?
All right. Well, great to be here with all of you guys this afternoon. I'll kind of get into everything about C&B here. All right, I'll start things off. I know we've heard a lot about insurance this afternoon, but how many of you feel like this is your notion of insurance right now, or your idea of, or your opinion on insurance? Raise your hand. It's okay. I felt this way. Okay, actually not too many people. All right, we're saying good, guys. Okay. All right. Well, I think for majority of the population, this is kind of the idea or brand that we have when it comes to insurance. But as you know, there's a lot of people that work in this industry, right? And it's a really lucrative industry to get into in terms of your own financial wealth. Kind of wanted to change your perspective, like we've all tried to do today, in terms of what that actually looks like on the day to day. So as mentioned before, Cottingham and Butler, we're in an insurance brokerage. Really what that means is we're professional buyers of insurance. We work with every industry you can think of, which I'll get into in a little bit here, but we're headquartered in Dubuque, Iowa. Who's heard of Dubuque or been there? Okay, all right. Quite a few of you. Yeah, we're headquartered there. We have about 1,300 employees, but we're across the country now. So we're in Dallas, Des Moines, Chicago, Madison, Little Rock, Arkansas, and Minneapolis. So we're growing pretty rapidly. Over the course of CMB, we've experienced double-digit growth continuously, and we have a 95% client retention rate, which I'll get into in a little bit here. All right, so what do we really do, right? We help clients manage their risk. And what that comes down to is managing things that could possibly go wrong, like the smallest details that you couldn't consider. Typically, that's our job, is to be the experts in the field, right? Kind of what Ben mentioned earlier, is being the person behind the scenes that knows everything that could possibly go wrong and having that expertise to make sure things go right. So what does that mean for us? We're protecting what's most important to them. That's going to be their people and their investments, or how we like to put it is their employee benefits and their property and casualty, right? So that kind of breaks down into a couple different categories, right? So risk management, that's going to be like the catch-all group for us. So think of like the Minnesota Timberwolves, construction, agriculture, manufacturing, the manufacturers of Yeti coolers. Those are clients of ours, right? So there's a lot of variety in what we do in that space, but helping them protect the actual building, the people, the risk that can come to them, the products that they're making there. Another piece of that would be transportation. We're actually the #1 trucking and transportation broker in the nation. So think of like any semi that you see on the road, 8 out of 10 of those trucks are brokered by us. Kind of a unique piece, right? So it's an interesting industry to get into because it's not just a truck. It's something that's taking on like medical supplies to a hospital, or the clothes that you're wearing, right? It has to get there, and we're ensuring that it gets there properly without causing damage. And when bad things do happen, we ensure that that company is not screwed, right? The other half of that comes into the people portion, so the employee benefits. So I'm assuming most of you are on your parents' benefits plan when it comes to their insurance, but that's something that we build out and get creative on, right? So the different solutions that come to play of, do we offer this amount of PTO, or do we offer pet insurance because it's going to attract more younger talent, or do we try and maximize the amount of medical costs that we can, or the medical benefits that we can offer? Granted that the demographics of the company tend to be a little bit senior in their career, right? So it's getting creative on building out a solution for them. Some notable clients in that space are like UCLA, USC, Fleet Farm. So bigger companies or bigger clients in those spaces. Overall, this is kind of like the CMB umbrella. So I kind of broke down everything that consists of us, but then we have all these other different companies, right, underneath those 2 different sectors of CMB. And this is what makes us really competitive in the space. So these are all different companies, like our safety management consulting company, or CBCS, which is a claims and advocacy team, right? Typically, companies have to outsource to multiple companies to work and process things like that. Or you could come to Cottingham and Butler and work with us and be your one-stop shop for all the different needs. So we have a lot of crossover when it comes to clients in multiple divisions, makes us really competitive in the space. So what do the roles look like at CMB? So I'll kind of give a brief breakdown of like the 3 main avenues you can get into coming straight out of college or in our internship program. So sales it's the producer, right? It's who is going out and trying to convince someone to come work with us. Because the best part about insurance is that it's federally mandated within the United States. So everyone has to have it in terms of operating as a business. The tough part is that they already have it. So we have to convince someone to fire their current broker and to come work with us. Seems like a daunting task, but if you're competitive, you like to win, hate to lose kind of mentality, and are good at building relationships, great role to get into. I'll kind of go over to the account administrator side. That's going to be someone that is really organized, attention to detail, likes to work on the back end of things. So digging into the details of like the financial statements, things like that, that go into making sure that that client's properly insured and can still open the next day, right? Then there's the insurance marketer. That's kind of a hybrid of the two, as I would say it. It's a negotiator on behalf of the client. So once we kind of get all our ducks in a row of like, this is the policy we want, we're going to go negotiate with different insurance carriers on price, coverage points, things like that, and really advocating and being a partner to them. So that's kind of how we operate. Different roles that you can get into. Happy to talk about it more after the certificate of this evening. It says, what will you become? I don't know if you can read all of that. But this is kind of more about how you can become more successful within the industry, because as Ben mentioned before, you really do have to be an expert to do well. You can be the most likable person, but if you don't know anything, you're not going to get very far. And if you're kind of a know-it-all, you're going to come across kind of not likable to a client. So we've got a really awesome producer sales academy that we launched recently, and it's a 4-month program where you are learning in different cohorts. So maybe like first year graduates, and then people that are 2 to 3 years into their career, and really getting that hands-on experience of learning aside with our top level executives. We'll do like internal sales competitions. It's a really great way to get integrated into C&B while also learning from the best. As far as the side of validation comes, or compensation process, that's something that you're going to see within the insurance industry, is that it's based off of renewals. So it's not a quick one and done sales process. It's a continued relationship. So a little bit different on that side. And in order to make money off of that, right? So you have to get someone to can decide to come work with you, but then they decide to continue to work with you, and that's the renewal, right? So that's kind of broken down here. As someone that's starting off fresh out of college, you'll start at around 65 to 70K right out of the gate. And then we really build you up, because there's a lot that you need to know, and we kind of do a disservice to you to just throw you to the wolves and say, have at it, right? So for us, we're really building you up, and within that producer sales academy, we're also learning around our top sales executives. So you'll be doing some points of trying to build your book of business or your client base. But that doesn't really ramp up until that 2 to 3 year mark. That's when you've really reached a point of your book of business is larger than what we've invested in you in terms of monetary value, right? So that usually takes about 2 to 3 years. And when you get to that validation point, you go to full commission. So that means you are going to get 20% on anything that is renewed with you, and 40% of any new business that you write. So to give you some perspective of that, a third of our company has over $1 million book of business. So they get 20% commission on that, and then 40% on anything new they write. Kind of unique piece about us is that we, percentage-wise, have the most $1 million book of businesses within our industry. And then if that sounded interesting at all, and you're a junior or sophomore or even a freshman, we have a really great internship opportunity for you all. It's 10 weeks hosted in Dubuque, Iowa. We pay for your housing, so you don't have to worry about that. It's really integrative to what your full-time career could look like at C&B. So I'll have about 45 to 50 interns this summer. It's a paid internship. You're traveling, you're learning how to cold call, learning how to talk to different CFOs and CEOs of major businesses and see if you can really work in that space. At the end of the internship, you present to me and my teammate Lizzie over here over all your hard work, why you deserve a full-time job offer, and why you deserve a bonus at the end of the program. One thing I want to highlight from our 2024 program is that we offered 86% of our interns, and 95% have already accepted. So Really great program. Love to talk with you more about it afterwards. And if you're interested in connecting with me or C&B, I've got our contacts here of Lizzie and I, and thanks for having us.
Let's hear it for Maddie. Thank you, Maddie. Really appreciate that. And you did answer the other question I was going to ask as a follow-up. So thank you for that. Appreciate you being here. Gisela, I would love for you to talk a little bit about what are some of the most important skills that you're looking for in an intern or new hire. So that would be it. And then I have a follow-up kind of describing a day in the life from your perspective. So let's start with the characteristics you're looking for an intern or full-time.
Yeah, so characteristics I would just say is someone who's very outgoing, can talk to anyone. In our business, you're building it based off of people you already know. So we don't do like as many cold calls, but it's more so asking for referrals. Like, hey, who do you know? Who do they know? And so on and so on. So you do have to have a lot of courage to ask someone for a referral, especially friends and family. So courage, hardworking, and just really having those people skills. You don't need a finance background. I didn't. I was a marketing major. We teach you all of that. So it's really just the people side of it that you need to learn. And then I would also say someone who's very like entrepreneurship. So you don't work for Northwestern Mutual, you're an independent contractor. So you're building your own business with Northwestern Mutual. Eventually you hire staff. You know, you have business expenses, that kind of stuff. So someone who really wants to be a business owner is also another characteristic. And then day in the life of an intern, it really just depends. But it's mainly meeting with new clients, eventually having annual reviews, meeting with your mentor, having development sessions. Not every day looks the same, but it's all about what you put in is what you're going to get out as well. So when I was an intern, I knew pretty fast that I wanted to go full time. So I did full time hours even during the semester, and I was meeting with clients every day, making phone calls every day. I got into leadership pretty fast because I knew that's what I wanted to do. So it really just depends on, you know, how much you like the internship and when you want to go with it or go with it.
Thank you. Dan?
Okay, yeah. So also turning to Ben at Federated, basically the same question. You know, could you tell us a little bit about, you know, what are some of the important skill sets that you look for when you're hiring? And you don't have an internship program, but you have that extensive training program. So could you tell us a little bit more about some of the skill sets and traits that you look for in somebody that you're hiring for Federated?
Absolutely. I would say the first thing, and I mean this is truly the first thing that we look for, is the positive impact when you first meet someone. With us doing everything in person, we need someone that can go into these places and meet with millionaire business owners and be able to make enough of an impact to where you stand out from the 50 other salespeople from all different industries that they see every week. We need a leader. We only promote from within, so we don't hire anyone in the company other than the entry-level sales role from outside the company. So we need leaders. We need people that are going to be the next generation of my position, our manager's position, all the way up to our chairman. Every single one of them have started as a marketing rep. So we need someone that has proven leadership ability. Competitiveness is a huge thing. She already mentioned everyone already has an insurance policy and everyone already has an insurance agent with an existing relationship that they've already paid. You have to be a competitive person to enter that dynamic and be able to navigate it in a positive way and not, you know, tear people down, but be able to show the true value of what you're offering. And then it comes down to discipline. This job, especially in our world where you're leaving from your home office, literally your house or your office in your home, to go and make as many stops as you can every day. I'm not waking you up. I'm not checking at 4 o'clock if you're still out there stopping in at places. We need someone that's really disciplined and willing to, you know, chase that uncapped commission opportunity. I would say those are the 4 main things that I look for.
Okay. And can you just describe a little bit more what the position entails? You talked a little bit about going out and meeting people, but could you just explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, so a day in the life of one of our sales reps, you come out and you take over an existing book of clients. So it could be anywhere from 30 to 120 businesses that you already insure. That's in a protected area. So in that area that you're taking over, no one else from our company can call on those businesses, and you can't call on any businesses that are in your neighbor's territory, but that allows for a much more growth oriented dynamic because you're not hiding things from people. You're not sharing what's working. Everything is very transparent and cut and dry of what you can and can't do. But the day in the life, I mean, for me, I'll just give my example. The beginning, it's a lot of work. You're working 55 to 70 hours a week, depending on how hard you want to work. And it's wake up 7 o'clock in your office. Monday morning, you're going to be basically planning out your week. And then Monday afternoon through Friday, you're driving around, you're meeting with business owners that you currently work with, and you're tasked to retain their business and develop those relationships. But then also you're tasked with stopping into other businesses throughout the week, making friends with them, developing relationships, and earning their respect and trust enough to be able to show them an option on the quote. End of the day, you're usually going to get back to your place, wrap up any of the administrative work that you kind of drummed up throughout the day. Once you're doing it for a while, you get an assistant. But really it's just how hard do you want to work? How much money do you want to make? And that's kind of what dictates how much you're going to work throughout the week.
Thank you. And by the way, he mentioned leadership. I got to give this kudos to Ben because he accomplished in 3 years more than I did in 22. So well done.
I appreciate that, but
You did.
you did a great job.
Just gave you the foundation to work off of. But no, you did a great job. Gisela, if you don't mind me asking, so could you talk a little bit more about what a day is like for a marketing representative, a sales representative at Northwestern Mutual?
Yeah, so kind of, well, I guess I can give you an example like today. So met with a potential client for the very first time, and that first meeting is just all about them. Really getting to know them, figuring out what's important to them, what does their family look like, what goals do they have, and then going from there. But then I have other meetings where it's clients coming back for an annual review. Now we have to update stuff. A lot of your day is calling people, like you have to somehow get people on the calendar. So you have to make a certain amount of phone calls every single day. And then personally, I was in a leadership position, so I did a lot of one-on-ones with new interns, a lot of coaching, development, teaching, training sessions. So as an intern, you would be going to all of those and learning, different investment strategies, different planning products. And then the internship does a lot of fun things too. Like we did a scavenger hunt around Milwaukee one time. We go to Brewer games. They had a beach day. So we like to have a lot of fun too, not just all business.
Okay, Manny, for Cunningham and Butler, I just want to ask real quick because you talked about 3 different positions that are available. Could you just tell these students how they could maybe identify themselves as to where they might fit into one of those 3 and what each one does a little bit more so they understand it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say similar to both the roles here at Northwestern Mutual and Federated, our sales executive role or I would say benefits consultant role, that's going to be someone on the day-to-day that you are cold calling, trying to build relationships, handling rejection. You're the quarterback of that team, I would say, of being able to really call the shots and how things are going to go with that client potentially. So you handle the hard news, you handle the good news, but you're the relationship builder and you maintain that relationship. So your day to day can be a lot of travel. It's a lot of cold calling. I would say people that match really well with that is if you love talking to people and love building relationships, like Ben had mentioned before, being competitive. If you are a gritty person that loves to work hard and doesn't stop when the going gets tough, that's a really good role to get into. The insurance marketer side, I would say if you're someone that is outgoing but doesn't need to be the face or the brand, it's a really great role to get into because you're working with all the intricate details and solving problems. So you're looking through that insurance policy and picking apart, oh, this person isn't, or this company isn't covered here properly, right? They could be millions of dollars out just because of a small claim that would come through if they're not covered properly. So that's some big stuff that you're dealing with, and you have to be as detailed and organized to be able to understand that and also make sense of it. So You're going to be able to negotiate with different insurance companies. So being able to build relationships internally that way with different underwriters and trying to advocate on behalf of the client and then bringing it back to the client and saying, this is the best option. Here's why. Now that account administrator or account manager role, they're going to be more behind the scenes. So still relational with the client, but if you are extremely organized, really like to get into the finer details of working through the renewal process or solving problems when they come up, that's a role that I would say would fit really well. But overall, I think we're just kind of looking for people that, have a track record of success, love to win, have high expectations for themselves, and really want to be a part of a place that pushes them, not just beyond the day-to-day, but to grow personally as well.
And I have one question for Gisela. Gisela, about 2-3 minutes. We're going to try to wrap up with the questions and answer about 5 after. But if you could describe holistic planning at a high level, what does that mean? And then in addition, how has your practice evolved? Because you talked to me a few minutes ago about where it's going. Just share those 2 things. Just a few minutes though.
Yeah, so on the holistic side, again, not just insurance or just investments, but make sure we're talking about everything in between that. So we're not attorneys or accountants, but I still bring up tax planning. I bring up estate planning, even for younger people, like power of attorney documents. All of you should file those. Speak to me after if you have questions. But then it's like just filling out a budget with them and then making sure they have the proper insurance, but also on the investment side, if they're working full time, how should their 401k be invested, that kind of stuff. So we want to make sure we're looking at everything that goes into their financial picture. And then personally, kind of with my own practice, so it was pretty insurance heavy in the beginning, and then eventually I got my investment license, and now I'm on the track to Ensemble with one of our top advisors. So our practice is very comprehensive. We're talking, a lot about investments and insurance, and just working with more like established people, kind of
Medical market, right? Medical market?
Yeah. So we do a lot of fee-based planning with physicians, business owners. So, I still work with a good amount of young professionals kind of just getting started, but then over the years have grown into more of an established market as well.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'm going to throw something at you, Mark.
Yes.
If you can share, you have a lot of experience in this area. What are some of the other opportunities within the finance and insurance industry besides sales?
Oh,
We have marketing students, we have finance students that aren't interested in that. And some of them have customer-facing positions,
Yeah.
some don't. Could you share some of that?
Sure. I don't want to steal time too much from them, but insurance companies, hundreds of different opportunities in insurance underwriting, law, corporate financial type positions, anything that you can think of to run a major business support. It's incredible. And then within the financial planning realm, there's client facing, Gisela is a client facing, but I know people in your office that also hire people that are part of a team, right? That are more the back room, help prepare things, learn the business that way. So it's unbelievable. And without taking too much time away from them, Dan, it's amazing the opportunities in those industries. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks. So some questions that we want to ask. And I think one of the things the students always like to hear is, what are your career recommendations? You have these young people, who's graduating in December? All right, we got some graduates in December. Who's graduating in May? All right, so quite a few there. So we have a whole group, and there's quite a few that are juniors. There are some freshmen and sophomores, but a lot of these people 2 years from now are going to be out in the workforce. So we'll start with you, Ben, just in case your phone goes off. What would be some of your career recommendations to these young folks?
Yeah, I would say just in general for personal growth, put yourself in as many uncomfortable positions as you possibly can. If you're staying within your circle of comfort on your day-to-day, you just can't grow because everything is easy. Intentionally find ways to put yourself in positions where you are going to be uncomfortable, you're going to be stressed, whether that's public speaking, it's talking to different employers at career fairs, it's asking your professor for recommendations on things. Put yourself in uncomfortable positions. That's when you truly grow. I think being involved, as Mark had mentioned earlier, get as involved as you can. If I could go back, I would have been more involved outside of football. That was my commitment, but I would have liked to join something like AMA. It would have prepared me even better for the role that I had coming out of school. Read. That would be the final thing. Read as much as you can. You have only your experience and the surrounding people around you to base all of your decisions off of. If you read, if you listen to audiobooks, you're getting the world's experience at the fingertips of yourself, and you're able to make better decisions based on that. So just read, even if it's 10 minutes a day, try to make that a habit.
Addie?
I would piggyback off of that as and also point would be, I would say going above and beyond what is the bare minimum, right? I think a lot of times people get caught in, well, I'm doing good here, I'm doing good there, I'm checking off the boxes, but there's someone out there that is going beyond that. And that's kind of your competition when you're going out and looking for different companies. It's a competitive world, you like it or not. But so being an advocate for yourself, and like I've been mentioned before, getting involved and not just being a member, but being a leader in that group. It could be, I'm working 40 hours a week in my job to kind of support me through school. Like things like that are the things we want to hear, because it shows that you're going above and beyond the bare minimum of what's asked of you. And that's the type of people that employers like us are looking for. And constantly look to improve yourself. I mean, I think a lot of questions you'll hear in an interview process is, what's something that you accomplished recently? And you got to have real stories behind that, and things that you pride yourself in.
Once you actually get into your position, reach out to people above you, like even, the people that might seem scary, like the president or VP. Even if they don't give you the time, it says a lot that you have the courage to reach out. I've met with some of our, very top executives from our home office just because I reached out to them, and then obviously go prepared to that meeting, have questions already prepared, that kind of stuff. But you never know what will come of that. When I was an intern, I met with all of our top advisors. That's how then I got this opportunity to take over this other advisor's book of business. So you really just don't know like what will happen, even if in the short term it doesn't do it a lot, it might in the long run. And then I would say look the part as well. Just like present yourself, dress nicely. You'd be surprised how many people are really impressed, like if you are wearing a suit and no one else is. So.
I think that's everything, right? Kick it to you. Is there?
Very
Okay.
good.
All right, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you very, very much.
So here's a QR code, and I want you to really think, we got a few minutes before you're done. Think about a few questions that you might want to ask them based on what they said. And when we're done, you can come down and talk to them. With this QR code, it's going to register that you were here. It's going to ask you some questions. And one of the questions it's going to ask is if you'd like these people to contact you about a position. So please don't be bashful about that either. So we'll leave this up for just a little bit. And does anybody right now have any questions? Abby, you look like you might. You bet. We'll see how good you are at speaking offhand. Yeah.
How people think insurance is boring. I mean, why do you sell insurance? What do you think is interesting about it? Or like, why do you keep on coming to work every day to sell insurance?
Well, as for my position, I'll preface this, I don't sell insurance, but I recruit people to go do that. But I think I'll kind of speak on some of my teammates. I think it's the impact that you make. I think in terms of, I mean, you're working with billion-dollar companies, right? And they've got employees that need jobs, and there's people out there that if we don't do things right, they could lose their entire living situation, right? And then so the impact that you make is just not a drop in the bucket. It's millions of people, and even on the employee benefits side, it's their ability to get health care and to be not having to pay out of pocket for things that aren't necessary. So I think the impact that you make vastly outweighs any idea of, I don't know if insurance is for me. I think it's the idea of, you're really helping people, not just, on a small scale, but on a massive scale as well. And for me, why I love going to work every day, I think it comes down to a few different things. I love my team. I think you'd be surprised how much that impacts your day to day of like the people that you surround yourself with. And I didn't consider that when looking for a company, and I just sure as hell lucked out with the people I'm working with. But then overall, I think the impact that I'm proud to be a part of growing people's careers and helping them find something that they didn't necessarily think of initially, and that was me as a college student, and being able to give that back to people.
And I would say my answer is almost exactly the same. I initially came into this because I saw the income, and I'm not going to lie to you about that. I wanted to make money. St. Norbert was expensive, and I was fortunate enough, and I was telling someone else this earlier today, I was fortunate enough to fall into the type of an impact that you can have. And you touched on a lot of the reasons, especially on like the business insurance side, the life insurance side of it as well. I mean, that is the most impactful thing that, you can really put on someone. We just had a client pass away the other day, and he was in his 40s, came down with cancer. And because our salesperson had conviction, they were on him, even though he was healthy, to make sure that he put the right things in place. And it doesn't take away the terrible aspect of losing your loved one, but what it did allow for is making sure that his wife and 3 young kids and business are going to continue on in the best fashion possible financially. When that is on the line, when you're having those conversations, it really gives you a lot of meaning in what you're doing. And it's horrible when you see it come to fruition, but at the same time, going to bed at night knowing that you're doing the right thing and you're putting these families in the best possible position, that's the reason I'll never change industries and won't leave the company.
And Giselle, your position's a little different because you not only help protect cover that risk or protect what they've done, but you also help them accumulate wealth. Could you just share a little bit about that too?
Yeah, so on the insurance side, it's mainly life and disability insurance. And thankfully, I haven't had to pay a claim yet, but a lot of my, colleagues have. And hearing the stories of people that pass away when you would never expect it, like younger people, freak accidents, it's like knowing that your client's family is going to be okay. Like that is a big reason why I'm still in the industry is because of that impact. But then also on the disability side, so that's if you get hurt, this policy is still paying you your income outside of your work coverage. That one personally, I have a really strong conviction on. I had a client not take my advice on it, and a year later, he became fully disabled. He would have had $5,000 coming in every month until age 70 if he would have said yes, and he was 26. So after seeing that, I tell every single potential client that story. I tend to be very direct on that type of policy, just because we all like to think we'll be fine and we're invincible, but you can just be in the wrong place at the wrong time. But then also it's like we've worked really hard to build all these investments, to build savings. And now if something happens to you to where you don't have your income, all of that is going to get depleted. And we just did planning for no reason. So to me, if someone's not open to that, then they're not really taking financial planning seriously. And then also kind of same with you guys, like I saw the income potential. There's not a cap on your commission or your investment income. But also I didn't want to work for someone else. I wanted to be my own boss. I love how I make my own calendar. I can take off whenever I want to an extent. I'm in charge of who I want to work with. I don't have to work with just anyone. So that was a huge other reason. And then I also really love the people that I work with.
Okay, well, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, well, let's give these three a great round of applause. Thank you so much. And that, is there anything else, Gracie and Elena? Here you go.
Wait, hold on. Please.
Few more things really quick. Thank you again to Dan and Mark for moderating today, and all of our partners for joining us.
Please wait. It's super kind of you to wait. So one of our AMA members, her father recently passed away on Sunday, and we want to help out as a chapter to cover funeral costs and to make sure that we are able to complete his wish of being buried with his parents in Mexico. So if you could please scan this QR code to make a donation, we would really appreciate it. And even if you are just able to share it, it's something that we would greatly appreciate. No one expects to lose a parent. It's just, please, thank you. I'll leave it up for another second. If everyone could just scan it to at least just send it to like 2 people. Thank you for everyone that scanned that. I really appreciate it. We have some people from the real estate club. We have Joey and Noah. They have a pitch for you guys.
Thank you guys for letting us speak. We'll just be really quickly before you guys get out of here. But my name is Joey. I'm the director of events of Whitewaters Real Estate Club in the business school. And we are a new club. We started up this semester, had to build it from the ground up. Basically, we're all things real estate. So there's the commercial side, there's the residential side, a lot of guest speakers. We meet every other week on Thursdays. And yeah, if you like real estate, please listen to this. We are looking for a marketing director, and I'm going to pass it off to Noah to talk about the position a little more.
Yeah, hi, my name is Noah Bartasevich. I just recently became a board member of Real Estate Club. For the marketing director, or what does the marketing director do? You'll be in charge of creating the Instagram account. We currently don't have one, so that'd be nice if you guys would create it. And then LinkedIn account, you guys be in charge of running that account. We currently have that account, but we need someone to manage it. You guys will also be in charge with attending our club trips. So we just recently took a trip to Milwaukee, but we had no one to take pictures at the event and kind of show that we're out in the community doing stuff. So that'd be kind of nice to have someone to do that. It'd be also nice to coordinate professors. Again, we just started a club that's starting off, so it kind of built from the ground up, kind of build a reputation. So it'd be nice if you guys could just apply for this marketing director role. It's not super enticing. It's not super difficult. Just kind of get our feet off the ground. And then it's also your ability to use your own creativity to create a brand image for the real estate club. Because most of you, or if not all of you, are marketers. So it'd be nice to market your own self, market your own brand, kind of use your own creativity for that. So if you guys are interested, please scan the QR code. And our president, Chase Zimmerman, will give that to you guys as soon as he can. So if you guys are interested, just apply for it. I don't want to take too much of your time here. So that's all we got for you guys today. So thank you.
Now you can go. Thank you
Oh,
for
okay, just a quick second. Please come down and talk to these folks if you're at all interested. I know they'd love to meet with you. And again, hopefully you mark down in there if you were interested in talking to them, having contacted. Thank you.
And join us on Wednesday, December 4th for our last AMA meeting of the semester. No, I said December 4th.